Welcome to the Resistance.
Hey Xers, and welcome back to Gen X Resistance. I am your host, your guide, your captain, your Sherpa, walking hand in hand with you as we try to make sense of this crazy thing called life. Thank you for making this podcast part of your day. I really appreciate that. So, I married my daughter last weekend. Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. Well, he is from Arkansas. But no, this is not that kind of story. I actually got an opportunity to officiate my daughter's wedding last weekend up on Petit Jean Mountain, which was also why I didn't podcast last weekend. You know, priorities and all. The view on Petit Jean was breathtaking. The weather was wonderful. And for a brief moment, amidst all the chaos of this world, it stopped. Watching my two granddaughters walk their mom down the aisle was amazing. And I have been my daughter's dad since she was 9, and we don't say stepdaughter because that's what she has never been. She is my daughter, period. And standing there also with my son, who is Gen Z, sitting in the crowd, and my two granddaughters, two Gen Alphas. In their little dresses, they looked amazing. I realized I was watching 4 generations collide in one sacred moment. And it's not often that you get to see that kind of continuity anymore. And it got me thinking, after 29 and a half years of marriage to my wife, what is it that makes something last? Because let's be honest, that's a miracle in this day and age. The average marriage in America lasts only about 8.2 years, and we've outlived that by about 21. But believe me, it wasn't easy. And now before anybody tunes out thinking that I'm about to lecture you on how to stay married, let me be clear. I am not. If your marriage didn't work out for whatever reason, look, I get it. Life happens. People grow apart. There are always circumstances. Look, my wife was married once before, and honestly, I'm grateful that she was because let's just say I got the better end of that deal. But this is what I have learned. In longevity, whether in marriage, friendship, or even how you hold on to your values, doesn't happen by accident. It takes intention. In a world that is constantly upgrading and scrolling and swiping, sticking out has become almost countercultural. So today, I want to talk to you about what I've learned, not as a counselor, not as a guru, but as a guy who has made plenty of mistakes and somehow still managed to keep it together. So here are 5 reasons that I think that our marriage and maybe our generational mindset has lasted as long as it has. Okay, number 1, love. This one sounds obvious, but people get this wrong all the time. You see, they think love is attraction or excitement or butterflies in your tummy. Yeah, it's not. Love's not the spark. It's the pilot light that keeps burning even when the room gets cold. Look, when I close my eyes and I picture myself old, sitting on a porch somewhere with a cup of coffee, there is only one person next to me, my wife. She's been beside me through hospital stays, multiple career changes, life changes, all of it. She has seen every version of me, from broke and idealistic to middle-aged and cynical. And she still chose to stay with me. As Nietzsche said, it's not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages. And he wasn't wrong. If you are not friends first, the rest won't hold. One of the things that brings me the most joy in life is to make her laugh. Number 2, what's mine is yours. Now, this one usually starts an argument because this one's not for everyone. And I get the reasons why it can be. But since June 22nd of 1996, my wife and I have only had one checking account. No, His and hers, no secret slush fund for toys or impulse buys, just one pot of money. Because back then we barely had any, and it wasn't symbolic, it was survival. Everything came out of one account: bills, groceries, gas, all of it. That meant full visibility. She knew what I was spending, and I knew what she was spending. And yes, it kept us honest. You can't hide an Amazon order from somebody who checks the balance every day. Well, it also helps that Amazon wasn't around in 1996. But it also built something else: trust. We never made financial decisions alone. We discussed everything, even the dumb stuff, especially the dumb stuff. Now, I know some couples swear by separate accounts, and hey, if that works for you, that is great. But for us, the joint account meant something deeper. It meant that we were in this together, all the way, no escape hatch, no just in case. You see, marriage is supposed to be a merger, not a contract negotiation. All right, number 3, trust. Now, this one's simple, but it's not easy. My wife has every password I own. To my phone, to my email, social media, everything. And no, it's not about control or snooping. It's about openness. We both know that if we've got nothing to hide, then you don't need to build walls. That kind of transparency says you can trust me even when you're not looking. Because let's be honest, most relationships don't fall apart overnight. They erode little by little through half-truths, white lies, and secrets that start out small but grow like cracks in a foundation. So we made a decision a long time ago. No secrets. No, I'll tell you later. No double lives. If you're in a relationship and you're guarding your phone like it's the nuclear code or something, yeah, something is off. Trust isn't a feeling, it's a habit. It's a daily choice to stay honest even when it feels uncomfortable. And when you build that kind of trust, it becomes the glue that holds everything else together. Lose it, and everything else unravels quickly. All right, number 4. And if you've got kids, you already know this one. They are master manipulators. They can sense division like sharks smell blood. If mom says no, they go to dad. If dad says no, they actually go back to mom, and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until they start crying and somebody gives in. Look, we've tried not to argue in front of the kids. We didn't always succeed, but we did learn one rule. Never let anyone else, friends, family, or in-laws, wedge themselves in between our marriage. It's fine to seek advice, but once someone else starts playing referee, you have already lost control of the game. We didn't survive almost 30 years by being perfect. We survived because we stayed on the same side, even when we were mad at each other. Which brings me to number 5. Agree to disagree. My grandma Sue gave me the best marriage advice I ever got on our wedding day. She said, "Son, don't ever go to bed mad because you'll just wake up that way." And she was right. You are going to disagree. You're going to fight. You're going to have moments where you wonder how this person ever made it past the dating phase. But the key is knowing which battles matter. And guess what? Most don't. Ask yourself, is this the hill I want to die on? If the answer is no, then let it go. We've learned to argue like teammates, not enemies. Because if you're fighting each other, then the problem wins. So, standing there on that mountain, watching my daughter say I do, I couldn't help but think about how different things are now. My generation, Generation X, we grew up fixing stuff: cars, stereos, relationships. If something broke, you got out the duct tape and you figured it out. You tried to fix it. Today, it feels like everyone is living in a disposable culture. Jobs, marriages, friendships, even beliefs. Everything is conditional. I'll stay as long as it's easy. But endurance, well, that's the rebellion now. In 2025, sticking it out with a spouse, a principle, a purpose, is a new counterculture. And maybe That's what Gen X resistance is really about. It's not about politics or pop culture or nostalgia. It's about refusing to quit when everything around you tells you it's easier to start over. So yeah, I married my daughter last weekend. I watched my granddaughters walk their mom down the aisle, my son looking on, and I realized something. Every generation learns from the one before, if we bother to teach them. Maybe that's our job now. Not to preach, not to scold, but to show them what staying power looks like. Because love, real love, isn't about finding the right person. It's about being the right person. And in a throwaway world, that's something worth resisting for. All right, thanks for listening to Gen X Resistance. Where can you find me? Well, on all major podcast platforms, on YouTube. You can reach out to me by email at genxresistance@gmail.com or leave a comment on YouTube. If you like what you heard, then subscribe, tell a friend. All right, until next time, I'm Paul Stevens reminding you that sometimes the greatest act of rebellion is simply not giving up. All right, stay real, stay grounded, and as always, stay rad, my friends.